This is the Slots and Sockets Podcast, episode number 15. As always, I am one of your hosts, IRD Moose, and my partner,
Turbo Penguin.
He is the Turbo Penguin, that's right. And this episode, we were doing some driver updates, but I haven't seen anything recently. So skipping on, our first story of the day, Intel has released their third fix for 13th and 14th gen. Looks like they might have gotten it.
We'll see.
Maybe. It does look like it does look from the reporting I'm seeing from places like Guru 3D that it looks like they kind of have the voltage stuff more under control, at least for the ring bus, which, you know, the voltage, as we know, is exactly what was nuking these poor chips and killing them. Now, as always, if you have a 13th or 14th gen that's showing signs of failure, you're not really going to see a fix for your stuff. But if you do end up RMAing the chip, the fix should be in place and in good shape for you to run with maybe a little bit more confidence in your part.
Okay, so we're gonna have a little vote here.
Okay.
Raise your hand if you think this will actually fix the processors from Intel 13th, 14th gen. There's nobody. Who thinks that this is legit and this fixes it? Nobody.
I think it could potentially, but we have to see. We genuinely have to see. I'm gonna take the optimist position here, and you know, I genuinely hope it does, because you know, I hate to see Intel struggling when they're one of two CPU manufacturers on the planet. It's not good for any market when one manufacturer has pure dominance, as we saw with Intel over the last decade. So, yeah.
I just, I look at this and I realistically ask the question. It's like, at this point, does anyone believe it's fixed? And it's like, no.
I don't believe it's fixed. I will believe it when I see it. I hope that it is fixed. But
okay, so let's play devil's advocate. Moose, are you going to drop $500 if you can go get a bundle of a, 14900 KS with the motherboard and 32 gigs of RAM?
I mean, if I had the $500 and it was genuinely proven fixed, yes. Okay, I don't have the $500 right now.
No, but if I gave you $500, I said you could buy this, or you could buy let's say a 7800 X3D kit from Micro Center.
I'm going to get the 7800 X3D because that works. Guaranteed. Right now, it's hope. And I don't buy on hope. I buy on facts. So once they prove that it's fixed, great. But I still prefer to remain hopeful that they did. And if they prove my hope wrong, no big loss because I didn't spend any money on it.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Like, I mean, I hope they did fix it because that would be awesome. There's a lot of people that work at Intel and who could definitely use a bump in their stock value from some good news of it actually getting fixed. But moving on to AMD, looks like the 9900 and 9950 X3D, as we suspected, are going to have dual 3D or 3D NAND, not 3D VNAND. Good grief, that's SSD stuff. They're going to have dual 3D memory stacked on their CCXs.
Okay, so I have this is my thought on this. AMD has been talking about the X3D for the 9000 series as very different and very positive in a lot of different ways. And I think that's great. So look, my recommendation right now, when these things drop, let's say they dropped today. Okay. For gamers, I really think the 9800 X3D is going to be great. Yeah. Wait for reviews. Don't buy anything without seeing independent third-party reviews. But if I'm a gamer and a creator. And core count is hugely important. Like I go back and forth between the two. Or, you're a gamer and you use some high, you need some more higher throughput than an 8-core, 7800 X3D or 9800 X3D will give you. Hold off. I start to wonder, when they've talked so much about the gains of X3D, and if we do get dual CCXs with X3D, there is a chance that the 9950 X3D could trump in every category, including gaming. And I don't know. I just have the suspicion that there is something there that might be beneficial for gamers to be like, maybe that's not such a bad thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, if this does work out the way it sounds like it might, I think you're exactly right. And having
Look,
3D V-cache on both CCXs, even with the cross CCX latency, it's going to be a good thing.
look, I look, if you're a gamer, I look, don't wait on the 9950 X3D. If your main computer use is watching Top Gear and playing video games, go out and buy the 9800 X3D or the 7800 X3D. Make your choice of which one you're going to do and just do it.
Yep.
But for those people who have a different skill set or a different usage beyond just gaming, and heavy on the CPU intensive, like high core count stuff, don't jump blindly into the 98 or the 7800 X3D, because I do believe, while it's going to be very good, and I think there's going to be some very good talking points for reviews. And I mean, if you look at some of the leaked documents and the wording that they are using, ultimate, best, uncompromised, like just the absolute king of the castle when it comes to gaming.
Yeah.
If that's true, that's going to be really, really popular. And just hold off, because I really think the 9950 and the 99 series is going to come out probably within the first month or two when it was supposed to be coming out. I don't think that's changed. I think they're trying to get some positive spin on this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they kind of hosed the launch of the 9600 and 9700. And, on that note, they're actually popping out a GISA 1.202. And they have now promised to honor the warranty at 105 watt TDP. So, this news with the X3D and, bumping up the TDP for these existing CPUs sounds like they're trying to claw back some of that positive mindshare that they lost.
All I can say is how good would have been had they just released it now for everything rather than waited.
Yeah.
It would have been just so much better.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get why they shipped them at 65 watts and then they're like, "Oh yeah, well, we can push another 40 watts through them, no problem." Like,
well, I just don't understand.
Why?
Like, well, if it's a laptop chip, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, you sit there and say, well, we optimize for battery efficiency. Okay, the next one Elite, and and that it's like, okay, they're really pushing battery efficiency. Yeah, we're faster, but we're also kind of balanced in the approach. Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any gamer has ever complained, unless you're looking. Maybe they did they get the bulldozer feedback mixed up with the 7000 series feedback?
What do you mean?
Bulldozer used a ton of power.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if maybe AMD kind of got the feedback of the bulldozer mixed up, and they said, "Oh, look, people don't want high power usage."
Right. I mean, that's possible.
Mm.
Um, I'm kind of suspicious because remember when right before they were supposed to launch the 9600 and the 9700, they delayed everything. And there was some BS about oh, we got to fix the IHS cuz we etched some of them wrong. I'm really wondering if these two jumps we've had, including the cross CCX latency fixes that they've had to put in, are because they couldn't figure out how to get these parts stable at those wattages and at that speed on the fabric.
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, it didn't take him very long to enable it, and even then, overclockers had it going.
True, true.
I mean, overclockers. I mean, DeBauer had it fairly quick in the setup, so I don't think. I mean, if that is, I mean, if an overclocker did better than AMD's engineers, then maybe they need to look at some of their hiring positions. You know what I
Higher
mean? I mean,
Roman.
seriously. No, I mean, seriously. I mean, Derbauer goes in there and I mean, it's simple overclocking. It wasn't like they had to liquid cool the stupid thing. It wasn't running very hot anyway.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, and the other thing too was the 9700, even when you were at 65 watts, that seemed to significantly improve performance with water cooling, which is weird if it was actually, but yeah,
Who would have
I mean,
thought that
it's
a cooler processor runs faster?
fair enough. Fair enough. But my question, I think Jay Susence brought out a good question. What are they going to do with the customers who enabled PBO and took it up to 105 watts? Are they going to cover those people now?
Oh, I think so.
I think it would be stupid if they didn't, because they're basically doing what, and that's the other thing. Voiding the warranty for PBO when that's a feature that you literally sell the part on is ridiculous. So moving on. Looks like the 8800 XT has had an official release date correction from AMD. And
so I think maybe one of the things we need to realize is that maybe the leaks that we were hearing and that were coming out weren't as let me think, what's the word I want to say, wasn't as confident as maybe some people had come to find out,
as they were purported to be. Yeah,
I think that there's a lot of people who were really looking forward to that, and it's exciting because it is exciting news. I think maybe a little bit overzealous, and I think that's about as far as it goes. So
yeah, it could have also come because we don't know who the sources were that spoke to people like Tom over Broken Silicon, but it's, or rather, Moore's Law is dead. Broken Silicon is the show. So it's entirely possible that they thought that was going to be the release date. Maybe they were a partner vendor that was saying, well, yeah, okay, we're kind of targeting this range, so we're going to call that the release date. But AMD's like, oh, hold on, guys, we need to kind of pump the brakes here because, maybe they found something and they need to fix it, or,
well,
who knows?
I'm not thinking that that's part of it. I just think that it was kind of always slated to be, first quarter of 25. And I think that some people kind of were like, hey, this is ready to go. And well, I don't disagree that it's ready to go. I think that maybe people are like, hey, it could. I mean, not saying it won't, but it could.
I mean, maybe they'll do a paper launch toward the end of Q4, so closer to Christmas time. But
yeah, I mean, what good is that? Seriously,
you get pre-orders out.
Yeah.
Of course, who pre-orders hardware
Nobody,
anymore?
exactly. Nobody should be pre-ordering hardware.
Yeah.
End
And
of
speaking
story.
of pre-ordering hardware, it looks like Nvidia is ordering some hardware of their own, and shipping manifests are showing signs of 5080 and 5090 multiple 5080 and 5090 variants actually. Which, I mean, it is what it is. So we might have a couple of different flavors of 5080 and 5090 right off the bat. Maybe a 5080 and a 5080 Ti and a 5090 and 5090 Ti, or maybe they do a super. Who knows? But
A super would make sense. Well, no, I mean, you're going to be the normal stock things. I think that
right.
makes the most sense.
Well, yeah, but they didn't. So the 4000 series and actually the 3000 series were the first couple of generations where they released the super at the same time as the main card. Normally, they do like the main card, then they'll do a super version, and then they'll do the TI. And with the 4000 series, it all just kind of came out back to back to back. So maybe they're getting back to that cadence. Who knows? Or something closer to it.
You know, I don't know. I mean, I think the question is how are you spinning the 5000 series? And if Nvidia's like, hey, if you're going to be a gamer and ours is the best, the best, the best, then you sit there and you say, you know what? Don't compromise. Buy the best. And you sit there and say it's the 5090 Super Ti,
leather jacket edition,
XL, whatever they're going to use every moniker that they can. They'll probably add a 5 at the end. So the 5095 Ti Super, 45 gigabyte version, whatever it is. And,
right.
I have the 595. Mine's bigger than yours. I mean, sometimes we get a little, we get a little nerdy about this sometimes. I have a 6950 XT, not a normal 6900.
It's like tuner culture, but with pocket protectors.
I know, it's so bad.
And a lot of, well, actually.
Exactly.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I really, really wish, above all, I know we've seen some leaks on the 5000 series, and I don't want to talk about those because I think we're so far off from actually seeing real cards.
Mm-hmm.
All I can hope is that it comes to market and it's not ungodly expensive. And if so, if they do, my hope and prayer is that AMD comes and opens a can of value whoop ass.
Yep.
And comes and just starts taking market share like no tomorrow.
From your lips to Lisa Sue's ears, man. That's honestly that's what I'm hoping we get out of the 8800 XT.
Because look, I'm sure there's a bunch of Nvidia fanboys who are like, yeah, I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, everyone profits from AMD making that a really good value CPU, because that means that everything is going to have to come down in price.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. That's actually a really good thing. So,
well, and AMD's playing the same game on the CPU side and the GPU side. We've got the 9900 and the 9950 X3Ds coming, and we haven't gotten pricing on those, but they've traditionally been pretty aggressive against Intel, and looks like AMD is going for the throat with Nvidia on the mid-range and trying to get some of that mind share back, probably so that when they do have a high-end card with UDNA, which I expect they will, we'll probably see a 900 series UDNA card in the next year and a half.
Okay, RDNA 4, so 8800 XT. Do we think that's going to be the first UDNA enabled card?
No, this is still RDNA. If it is classed as UDNA, I probably would say it's going to be UDNA point 0.5.
Mhm.
Because from what I'm seeing, it seems to have some of the aspects of UDNA, but not everything. So this RDNA 4 is probably going to be a test bed. Um,
On a lot of
to
different ways. I think
yeah,
that's yeah.
yeah. I mean, just looking at what has been said about the AI performance and about the ray tracing performance, where it's on par with a 4080. They're catching up, and they're catching up quick because they're learning from their mistakes from previous generations. Not to say that the previous cards were bad, they just were not engineered to do what people want, which seems to be ray tracing.
Hmm. I, look, if the rumor, look, I think there's just a lot of this. It's rumors,
Yeah.
and at this point, I just feel like, when it goes back and forth. It's not that I don't trust them, but I think you sit there and say there's no point in getting excited about something because it it is not, nothing is set in stone.
Yeah.
And everyone was so there was a ton of people who were super excited about RDNA 4, and if that promise is true, people should be excited.
Yeah.
Um,
But
but
to your
let's wait
point,
until we get a little bit closer and we actually start seeing some more concrete stuff. Because
yeah.
one of the things that I kind of questioned, or still questioned, and looking back, and hindsight's 2020, right? Is you sit there and say, wait a second, if these cards were so ready to go, nobody has any sneaked die shots. Nobody has any sneaked cooler images.
Mhm.
Nobody had. There was such a lack of stuff.
Yeah.
And if you look at like the 5000 series, we see some of that stuff. Now, part of me thinks that Nvidia is trying to be as tight-lipped as they could. And who knows? Maybe this is AMD say, leaking some stuff. Hey, yeah, this is going to totally come out, and this is going to be this or at this price point, this performance, and maybe that might be the price point. Maybe that's the performance, but maybe it's the whole switcheroo. It's totally coming out in October 15th, guys. Tell your nerd friends it's coming. Yeah, and try to get NVIDIA to move off and bring theirs in sooner. And then they're like, yeah, we weren't ready. It was a
Yeah.
rumor.
Yeah. And
I don't
well,
know
and
we don't know where that came from. Oh, by the way, Nvidia just spent, $5 million, 10, 15, 20, which is like, pennies of the dollar for them, right?
right.
But,
Right.
I don't know. I
We haven't
wouldn't
even
put
really seen
past.
a lot of that for the 5000 series yet either. Like we haven't seen any die shots, we haven't seen any like boards or coolers. It's all been, paperwork basically. And
Yeah. Like
and
shipping
rumors.
manifests. I mean, the shipping manifests are going to be kind of hard to say it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody at NVIDIA is sitting there saying, yeah, there is no 5090. I don't think there's any question on that. I just think that there's probably some realistic of, we don't want to tip our hat because they haven't tipped their hat. And I think both of them are kind of going back and forth and say, you go first. Oh, you go first. No, you go first. And I think they're kind of going back and forth and playing a little cat and mouse game before something actually comes and someone's like, this is what we are. This is what we're doing. This is X, Y, and Z. This is the 8800 XT, midnight black blue edition,
Mhm.
whatever they come up with. And, but one of the things I will say, I do believe the 8800 XT, the 5090, and the 5080, and those, I believe, those are physical chips right now.
Mhm.
I believe they are real. I believe that they are already physical things. I believe that they've already, in some instances, probably been vetted out and ready to go. I would not put it past that they are in either final, like their final taped out done,
Mhm.
and possibly just in production trying to get enough units.
Yeah,
Or
that's
or it might be
possible.
just say we're going to be it could be that, hey, they said, look, we really want to move the 7800 XT up, or the 9800X 3D. Let's move that up. Let's do a switch. Let's just start putting a punch of manufacturing resources in that. Let's get that pushed out. And well, we're at 80% of where we want to be at launch. Let's just do this one launch and just kill it. Let's fix the CPUs. Let's get the gamer confidence, and then let's let Radeon do its thing in January. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, possibly.
I mean, both Intel and AMD and NVIDIA all suck at marketing, and I sort of wish we could just get a couple of nerds to replace like all of their marketing teams, because it's like, you just kind of look at this and be like,
Or
you're selling to nerds. You could put it in a brown box that says AMD 9800X 3D written in Sharpie, and you say, 8 core. And if you were like, oh, by the way, here's a nice little thing, and it's like you don't need it to be in anything other than like a brown paper bag.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly. Don't worry about all the fancy packaging. Like, oh God, Intel CPU packaging is just so extra. It's ridiculous.
It's almost like I want them to like wrap it in a burlap sack, like the most basic and generic like materials.
Just ship it to me in the little plastic holder in an Amazon Basics box. I'm good with
exactly, right? And just like have like a white sticker on it that says AMD 9800X 3D.
AMD Basics. There we go. Yeah, no, and I'll tell you, I mean,
I don't get a cooler anymore, so why pay money for a fancy box?
Right? It's I maybe there's some like shipping reason for it where the package helps the CPU survive if UPS or FedEx decides to drop kick it down 3 flights of stairs, but
it's a process, dude. I mean, if you drop kick it down 3 flights of stairs, as long as it's a little protective case, you're good. Plus, it has no pins anymore, so you can't pin the pins.
This is true. This is very true. So you could do an even thinner box and save a bunch on shipping. Shipping volume is very expensive, AMD.
you could make the box out of lead. That way, if it's a smaller box but it weighs a lot, then you feel like you're getting something more because it's a heavy box.
It feels like quality.
Don't lick it. Lead poisoning. Yeah. But
Yeah, true.
Look,
wait, you're not supposed to eat the shiny chips?
No, you do not eat. No, you do not eat the paint chips, Moose.
Right.
Look, this is a short episode. I know we kind of are doing that, but really kind of the light week. I do think we're going to start seeing some more heavy-handed stuff in the next couple of weeks. We're going to get closer and closer. Oh, one thing on the PlayStation 5, I kind of failed to admit. There was a bonus story. They're supporting 8K 60 FPS.
For output, but it's not actually rendering at 8K 60.
No, but some games will. Like Gran Turismo 7 is going to be rendering at 8K.
I don't buy
That's
that.
what they said. That's what they said.
I would love to see a rendering pipeline on that.
Yeah, talk to the Polypony people.
Yeah. I'll believe it when I see the actual rendering pipeline outputting 8K 60, because who can use it anyway? It's like how many TVs are there on the market at 8K right now? And how many do you have in your house?
Look, 8K is a gimmick. By the time people actually get 8K, the 8K that we see today is going to be so like basic. I mean, it's like 1080p back in the day. There was no content for it, and it was like it's a 1080p. You're like, okay, what content do you have? None.
You have 2 Blu-rays, and they're both demo discs. Yeah, exactly.
And I'd make the argument right now that that we're not really seeing a ton of 4K stuff because it's all streamed from Netflix, so it's compressed the heck down to 0.
Yeah.
I mean, look, whatever. We can have another topic of compression and video settings, but the 4K that we see today is.
It leaves something to be desired.
Possibly 4K.
It's 4-ish K. Yeah, exactly. No, the only way you can get 4K content right now, actual 4K content, is with a half decent gaming PC. Consoles look okay at 4K. Like the PS5 doesn't look terrible, but compared to a mid-range to high-end gaming PC playing 4K, it's nothing. The only other real content that's out there is Blu-ray, and that's effectively dead anymore. Especially with Sony killing the Blu-ray drives in the PS5 Pro and actively trying to kill it in the PS5. It's, the actual uncompressed 4K that shows you all the tiny little hairs on the back of Heisenberg's head is, it, at least for the time being, it's gone.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I really, he said 8K 60, and that's from the director of Gran Turismo 7. So now, if any title can do it, we know Sony has an absolute dear love for Gran Turismo.
Yeah,
it is always a prime release, and it always will continue to get game support until the next game comes out.
Yep.
And unless they're going to have a Gran Turismo 8 focused on the 8 Pro, there will be a version of Gran Turismo 7 that is optimized for the PS5 Pro.
Yeah.
And so, look, I wouldn't put it past them. I question if they can get 8K 60. We'll see.
Yeah. Honestly, I think most of this episode was we'll see. So
yeah, this is the we'll see episode.
Yeah, on that bombshell, I think we'll have to see you next time. And thank you all for watching. Remember to like and subscribe and do the comments and all the fun things down in the doobly-doo down there. And until next time, thank you all for watching. Have fun storming that castle.
Hasta luego, mañana.
Good night, everybody.